Welcome back to the channel. What I want to answer today is how do you roll with a new student that has skills? I understand skill is a relative thing, but what happens is somebody comes in and they're not just a fresh white belt. Maybe you're an instructor or you're a senior rank and you are going to roll with someone that may be a blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, depending on what your skill level is. You could say that the requirement would be that you're technically better than them as the instructor. We would hope that that's the scenario. We're not talking about another black belt coming in. There are ways to deal with that so that you are both professional and accepting within your school, as long as that person is respectful. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is it's the first time you're rolling with somebody and they may be scouting out the school to see if they want to stay. It could be an open mat situation. There's another scenario like you go to an open mat and you're going to roll with another person that maybe is a rank below you, or you're a senior purple belt and there's just a regular purple. Like, how do you roll with that person? Are there different strategies for that, and how we prefer to do that, what our experiences are? So Ben, do you have any pointers on this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll dive into these a little more, but I always roll with somebody new as soon as they show up, regardless of what their skill level is or
Hmm.
what belt they are. It doesn't matter to me. Day one or black belt doesn't matter. One of the big things, one of the big reasons is I want them to see who's sitting out in front of the class. Like I kind of want to show them, like, hey, here's kind of how I am a little bit, and it gives me a little better gauge on them. Are they, are they spastic? Are they going to be somebody that's going to hurt one of the students there? Possibly. Are they going to be,
Absolutely.
you're kind of setting the tone for the academy or the
Hmm.
gym. Hey, this is how we are here. Um,
Okay, so how do you roll with them though?
so it's kind of that Carlos method a little bit,
Hmm.
but it's just showing them, hey, this is controlled. This is, I generally don't tap people out unless it's certain unless I've got like specific things I'm working on,
Right.
um but it's very controlled, very slow, heavy on the technique, very just relaxed.
Right.
That's
Okay.
let them work, dance around.
Okay, so from the start of the grappling match, are you looking to immediately dominate them? Are you looking to, because there are people roll in the same way that they would roll in a match that is important to them, like they want to win, right? And so it's almost asserting your dominance, right? Like, and so like the thing is that uh, I'll talk about that, but at the same time, it's like you're trying to pass on the atmosphere of the academy,
Hmm.
but you also don't know if you even can,
Yep.
right? So you can't show up at a lower degree and start getting wrecked. You can pretend like I'm letting you do this, but
Hmm.
in your mind like
Hmm.
that was not going to
Well,
plan.
I'm not going to
So
lose.
right,
No, I'm
so
not going to
what's
lose, but it's still in the end, like it's still a teaching environment,
Mhm.
you know? So if their balance is off, they get swept. If it's, you're still teaching. Like the moment you slap and bump, like you're still teaching.
Right? Is that different when
It's
you go somewhere else that you're not associated with the school as an
no,
official?
it's actually the exact same methodology. It's the same principle. It's still being respectful. I'm not going to let you beat me,
Mhm.
but I'm not going to hurt you. And then this isn't not only is it an opportunity for me to like, hey, I'm visiting, so I'm going to get my workout in and see this other environment, watch the professor teach, maybe learn something new about instructing,
Right.
his methodology, see how he runs his academy. There's all that kind of things, but it's more exposure, right? But in the end, I am another black belt, and it's an opportunity for me to like pass on something else that's free knowledge for the
Right.
students as well. So it's still teaching, it's still instruction. It's still from the moment we start, like check balance, it's teaching, 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 go,
Mhm. Right.
and then just be relaxed enough to where they can work, see how they're doing. Like, hey, what is this? How is this purple belt? What does this rate up with what I imagine a purple belt being? Is this what I'm doing in my academy? Where do they?
Right.
Same thing.
Right. Yeah. I'll answer it from obviously the professor's perspective. Running a school, I like to roll with everybody that comes in. Obviously, there are circumstances that may have occurred prior to the class that, make me not roll with that person. And it has nothing to do with the individual. It may have to do with the fact that, maybe it was a long work day, whatever. Like, I want to make sure that my mental state is in a good place so that I, you know, don't overreact to certain things. I know that that is you are rolling with somebody that is new, could potentially be good, and so what happens is if they do something that you is unexpected, if you're not in a good mental state, then you're going to uh, uh take that more of a challenge. That's the issue that happens when people go, oh, I'm just going to go 50%. That's why things like start stacking up. On that note, it will also depend on who I have on the mat. So being the professor, being the instructor, I have my other students, and based off of how they're performing. So if you know anything about my actual schedule in my classes, I rarely have grappling early on, right? So like I do not um have classes that are just all grappling, or we do a warm up and then we do grappling. Like, what happens is I have very specific drills. There are resistance in those drills, and so while that person is going through the class, I'm obviously assessing their skill level and how easy it is for them to adjust to what I'm having them do. And based off of the people that they're rolling with, the drills are designed to keep everyone safe and so that everybody can work with each other. And so it's very easy for me to pull in information off of that. If I see that that person would do better rolling with, say, another purple belt or a brown belt, I will just have them roll. And what happens is those individuals have already been briefed in how I want them to roll with that person, right? So like there's a lot more thought process on it. If I do roll with that person, I've gone away from the whole thought process that you need to tap them. Like, I know lots of black belts that run schools that are under the assumption that when somebody new comes in, they're going to try to rip their head off. And so they assert their dominance by tapping that person as quickly as possible. Here's my experience with that. When you tap someone as fast as you possibly can, because they make a mistake right out the gate, and you're going to capitalize, and you capitalize on every mistake that they make. So you just tap them all the time. There is something in that other person's head that goes, that's a fluke. I made a mistake. Of course, you caught
You
me.
got
In that.
lucky.
He got lucky, right? You could tap somebody like 20 times in that way. Now, here's the other thing that I talk about. Every time that you do a completion of a submission to tap, there's a little bit of an adrenaline dump. There's just like a completion of task, and you're like, and then what happens is you roll again. Now, you can try to train yourself so that that doesn't take effect as much. But if you go for a submission and you do not complete it, but you know you could have completed it, and you move on, and then you compare that to doing a submission, completing the submission, him tapping, moving away, knuckle bump again, and then start rolling, and you compare the two, the time that you made them tap to completion, you will feel more tired going into the second match. Technically, you're still in the first match on the other way. And so what I've learned is if I'm going to roll with someone for an extended period of time, that if I tap them over and over and over and over and over again, one, it's very hard for you to maintain a certain level of energy. Like, your conservation of energy is different. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. Lots of people do it. It's just that it's very easy for me to compare the two because I have enough experience on the mat knowing that. Also, you have that he got lucky thing. And they're always wondering if that's there, right? So like if a wrestler's in front of you and you just automatically guillotine them, they're not going to slow down, right? And I'm not saying that I don't want you to try. I'm just saying that you're not receiving the amount of respect to what I just did based off of what the end result was. So the next time we touch knucklebone, we go, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go faster because they thought that that was a fluke or they thought that they got lucky. And so the pace would get picked up, which means that your pace has to pick up or you have to slow the pace down. There's a lot that goes into this. If you're enjoying this video, I wanted to take a second to talk about EliteU.com. where you'll be able to find early access to all of our YouTube content, as well as exclusive interviews and access to mentors. And now back to the video. The thing is that what I do, what I've learned to do, is I roll with them in the same way that I roll with all my black belts, which is slow and methodical. And I put them in submissions that are meant to lead me to better positioning. It upgrades my position. I can lock the submission in. So, like, say I'm doing a figure four arm lock, like I'm just lock. I can lock it to where they move and they start to get out. And right at the moment I feel it about to tap, I'll let that go and I'll just continue, or I'll upgrade the scenario. I'll give them the escape and I'll start working in. What I will eventually do with every single person is I'll eventually get on top, and then I will not smash them. I will control them with space. So what I will do is I'll assess how much actual control I need on them, and what I'll do is I'll just dominate the top position, going from mount and the on belly to side control, or I'll stay in side control and just work around. Maybe I'll go for a submission, let it go as they escape. I'll give them space. I'll let them feel like there's hope. I'll allow them to try to escape, get their knee in. I'll pass. I'll start working in. If there was a technique of the day, I will invariably do that technique to that person. And I will do this for the entire match. There's no doubt in their mind at the end of that match that I'm better than them. But it's different than the other one. You can say there's no doubt in anyone's mind if you tap them 20 times in a row that you're better than them. But the thing is that I found that if you do both and you compare them, the way that I do it now creates a higher level of respect, and they don't feel like they were attacked. They don't feel like they were in this mauling session. Like, and then what happens is they don't do that to the next person they roll with.
The
Because
the
that's
mauling session gets worse also.
yes.
So there's like a I've never I don't at least I maybe not consciously. I don't feel like I've ever recognized that adrenaline dump.
Hmm.
But I have noticed how if you submit them quickly, what happens is the next submission comes even faster.
Hmm.
Because there will be like, I don't know if it's them trying to accelerate or, and in doing so, their mistakes are exaggerated. So it'll be instantly their hands in the wrong place, triangle right again. And then the next time they step up and it's a little more exaggerated again. And it's just, it almost gets to the point where it's like right as soon as you do that, it's like submission.
Right.
It gets worse.
It does, or it peters out, because what happens is, you've completed this mission to the point where their defense is good enough to stay away from said whatever,
Mhm.
right? And then you get into the stalemate position, and because you're focusing on trying to tap them out, what happens is you miss opportunities. Like that's the it's the same concept that when I in boxing that I talk about as far as targeting. What happens? You have an amazing boxer that throws these combinations, and they're landing. And what happens is they clip them once, and when they clip them and the guy gets staggered, it's like, oh, he's going after him. And when he goes after him, all of a sudden his percentage from 90% connection goes all the way down to 15%. And like there's he can't hit him, he can't knock him out. And the question's always like, why? Okay, and people go, well, it's because of the fact that the stress level goes up because you're about to finish the fight. That's not the case. The case is the fact that previously that person really wasn't targeting. He was throwing good combinations, applying good angles, movement, and throwing combination in the general direction of the person. And because they're good combinations based off of reactions, they are going to land on a regular basis. And it has nothing to do with what the guy's doing.
It's not an active targeting. It's
Correct.
a
Yes,
sequence,
I'm not going.
program
I'm trying to punch you in the chin,
sequence.
right? I'm throwing combos, and what's happening is they're touching you because just like a fan, like I use the analogy of a fan. If you have a fan just spinning, I'm not actually targeting anything. I just want you to get into that vicinity of that. So when I throw a combination and I miss, I know that I didn't keep you within that area. My job is to get you to get into the area so that when the combos are being thrown, there's connection, right? And obviously I can adjust based off of the combo that I'm doing. When I clip you, if I focus on trying to hit you, I am now doing something completely opposite to what I was doing previously that found success. My success previously was throwing combos that were solid. And so the best way to knock someone out when you clip them would be, in theory, to continue throwing combos and just keep that person in there and just throw because you're going to connect. But the moment you
Get
focus your
distracted.
fire,
Yeah.
you're going to have a different result. Now, I'm not saying it's a worse result. Some guys are very, very good at that. But most times when you see that, you realize he was throwing these combos and then all of a sudden he's throwing straight punches, like, or he's just throwing on nothing but rights right here. And it's very easy for the person to get away. The reason I went into that is because if you are just trying to tap them out, you will sometimes just hone in on the submission you want. It may not be the submission that is present or the opportunity that's present. You will overlook their base. You will overlook the transition. You will overlook the other submission because you are trying a Kimura or you want this submission. And because you are better than them and it's a brand new role, like it's a brand new person, you don't actually know anything, you are now performing at a reduced percentage because you are tunnel visioned. And so the way that I found to eliminate that is to not do that and just roll and to try to control the positions. And and obviously it's person to person, and if you were to give me a different style of grappling, I could tell you exactly how I would grapple with that person. But the thing is that it's the same. What I'm looking to do is I'm looking to try to see if I'm able, and it's more of like a grinding on someone. It's like a breaking of a will. Like, I want you to feel that you can do things, and then you realize that you can't, right? And I want that to be as extensive as possible, right? Like, I want you to have ample opportunity to do everything that you can, and in turn, when you realize, wow, not only is he letting me do that, but even when I have space where it's just ridiculous, he's still stopping me. And even when I succeed, it's bad for me, right? And so now what happens? It's the art of grappling, and now there's a reason why and I can now shake your hand at the end and go, "You did really good. I appreciate you rolling calm. You didn't spaz out on any of this stuff.
Mhm.
There's a couple things. Is there any questions that you have? And if you were to ask me, I would then tell you what I did, and I would give you better strategies for later, right? And I'm actually being nice to you. I'm being an instructor. Like, I'm if I tapped you and just crushed you the whole time, you're demoralized. Like, that's it's hard to convert someone. If somebody was on the fence for that, it's hard. And then what happens is there will be retaliation if that person rolls with someone else and they took offense to it, right? It's like, no, I can't tap the instructor out, but I can definitely tap that blue belt out.
Yeah.
And if you just tap me 20 times, that means that's fair game. I'm going to tap out your blue belt 20 times. Like, and and that's why you may go to some academies where that's the environment. It's because the instructor did that,
Mhm.
like, given the opportunity and you smell blood in the water, are you actually going after that kill? Even though you know that you can do that. And if you do it, and then your students and atmosphere resemble that, you can't look at them and go, that's bad,
Mhm.
right? You can't judge them for that. That was you. You did that, right? And so when you roll with that person, and this also works with my, I said my senior ranks are always briefed on it. I tell them to roll in a way that allows them to maintain neutrality. Okay, so, like, I don't want them losing unless they're obviously outclassed. But I don't want them overcommitting to submissions for the exact same reason that I just talked about. And what I want them to do is I want them to stay within their game and test out that other person, and to not tap them unless it's towards the end of the match, or they have locked them up multiple times with the same submission through the same kind of setup, or whatever it is. And then at the very end, they can tap. I don't want them trying to go for something immediately, because I've found that the experiences that I just talked about in this video, that have come through many years of doing it, they don't have under their belt. So they don't have the ability to reference that and go, oh, this is what's happening. I have tunnel vision. My energy's going down. The reason I'm not getting the submission is not because I'm not good at it, it's because it's not good for this guy. Like, those are all things that will take one of your students that is very, very good and then put them in a situation where they're overextending themselves. And that's a great learning point. But if that person's rolling and you're still trying to assess whether that person's good for your academy, that may not be the best time for that humbling session.
Mhm.
Like, that person could take advantage. In today's day where everybody likes to study leg locks and you never know how fast people throw on heel hooks and stuff like that, I much rather have my people control the match the whole time in an environment like that and stay safe than try to go for the submission and find themselves in a compromised position that they wouldn't have been if they had treaded softly, you know. Um, and so yeah, that's my strategy on all that.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, comments below, content at eliteu.com is the email to send any of these questions if you want us to do a video response on it. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed that content, we have more videos over here for you to check out. For those of you looking to enhance your knowledge, make sure that you go over to eliteu.com, where you will have early release of YouTube videos and access to exclusive content. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.